Why are
Yeah.
we okay being a supporting role or a supporting character in our own lives? And it sounds funny to be like main character energy, but it's so true. It's so
Absolutely.
true. Like, you should be the main character in your own life. And here's what I want to say. You should be the main character in your own life. And that does not mean that you don't love your husband. It doesn't mean you don't love your children. It doesn't mean that you are selfish or self-centered or any of those things. But when you are the main character in your own life, you are valuing yourself. You are making yourself a better person, a better mom, a better wife, a better partner, a better, better at your job, whatever.
Hi, I'm Cheryl Medeiros.
And I'm Colleen Hungerford. And this is We're Doing This Right? A podcast for the whole woman, mind, body, soul, and business.
It's humor infused, as real as it gets, inspiring, and you'll walk away with real usable tools for life and business.
If you love what you're hearing, please share with a friend, subscribe so you'll never miss an episode, and rate and review whenever you listen.
So find your earbuds, lace up your walking shoes, or cozy up with a beverage of your choice. It's time to dig in.
I'm stuck on you. Something, 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 something.
Oh my God, you guys, the singing is back.
I love the Lavender Girls. Is that their name? No, I think their name is Camp, and they've got an album called Lavender Girls. And
I have no idea what you're talking about. What are you talking about?
I don't know, really. I don't know anything. I will send you.
Is this adult music or children's music?
No, it's adult music. I mean, it's the kids and I all like it, so that's nice.
Well,
their band name is
cool.
Camp, CAAMP. I mean, it's
not.
Okay. I like kind of like alternative more than like pop. If I were to choose what I'm going to listen to, it's more that type of music. Hold on, let me see if I can learn something about them. Let me get out of my new church website.
My God.
I'll tell you guys about that later. American folk. Okay, so I like folk music.
Okay.
So like Avett Brothers, like it's kind of that genre, like musical more than poppy and like produced.
I have been listening to a lot of Lil Wayne.
Oh, yeah. See, we go different directions.
A lot of Fetty Wap. And that's what I've been listening to.
Yeah, I don't know who Fetty Wap is, but
Oh my God, you do. Yeah, and a lot of Kendrick Lamar. That's what I didn't listen to, which I think so funny. So when I was in grad school, I had a advisor basically, and she was like kind of in charge of me for the sport that I worked in. And I was 22. She was probably 27. But I would have sworn in my mind, she didn't look old by any means, but in my mind, she was 40 something. Oh. And I remember I got in her car one day and she was listening to like rap music. And I was like, you listen to rap music? And she's like, how old do you think I am? And I was like, I don't know. Okay. And now here I am.
On the reverse of that, when I was young and I had my manager ride with me, my first manager ever when I worked for the insurance company, they'd come once a month and do calls with you. And I was listening to folk music. And he's like, you're not supposed to be listening to this. You're like 25. Get out of here. I like it.
It's like embarrassing. Like I'll show up to a listing and I'll have to like turn my music down. And with my new car, with my old car, as soon as you open the door, the music went off. With this car, it doesn't go off. And I don't know why. It just keeps playing. Even if the car is off and you open the door.
Like how long does it keep playing for? Does it know it's off? I feel
until I close the door. So like I close the door and it locks when I walk away.
And then the music stops?
Yeah, I guess.
Is it like your own personal walk-up song? Go BMW.
I know. Walk out song because it doesn't play when I open the door. But it's kind of embarrassing because, you don't just open the door and walk out. Like you open the door and then you grab your shit and then you get out. And so it's like playing and I'm always like, turn it off, turn it down.
Well, and imagine you were listening to one of my smut books. when you get
Yeah,
there.
I mean, yes, like that it could be anything. And I can't show up to this like $2 million house like blaring Fetty
Well, you
Wap. Like it's
can
just
and you
not, I
will.
mean, I do. But
Yeah.
anyway, what are we gonna talk about today?
I want to talk about lies we tell ourselves.
Okay.
The kind of noise in your brain. Actually, Elizabeth Convery sent out a newsletter yesterday, which was kind of I feel like the universe is pointing me in this direction because she sent
Yeah.
an email yesterday and she calls it brain trash, like the
Oh,
lies your
okay.
brain tells you. And then
Yeah.
I recall recently hearing the anecdote or the like essentially you can't believe everything your brain tells you. And I was like, "What? What do you mean I can't believe it?" It was such a like eye-opening epiphany to hear this like I can't believe everything my brain tells me. What do you mean? I've been believing that shit my whole life. And so I wanted
Yeah.
to talk about that because I'm seeing it play out all around me. And then I have a little hack for us too that
Oh,
I'm going to
okay.
throw in. Love me at real
Yeah.
life.
I don't really have, and this is not me being like I'm the best or I'm whatever. I don't
Sure.
really have that. I don't really have like negative self-talk. I don't I don't have it. I don't really have the
You have one,
what
the haters.
haters
Don't
in the business.
you feel like we've talked about this before? Like your brain tells you there's haters out there for you. I mean, there might really be
Sometimes,
haters,
I mean,
but
sometimes there just legitimately are haters out there.
right. Right. But have we talked something along those lines before?
Maybe. I mean, but I don't think that I have the situation where like if anything, to be very honest, I'm like delusional the opposite way. Like I
Well, that's the
always
hack.
yeah, like I always think I look better than I actually do. And
Same.
like, it's that moment where we've all had this where you're like, "Oh man, I look really good," right? And you leave the house and you're like, "I look awesome." And then you catch yourself in like a mirror or window, you're like,
Or
"Oh,
God
who's
forbid a
that?
photo.
Who's
Like
that
your
lady?"
photo of you shows up on the internet and you're like, whoa,
You're like,
that is not what I looked like that
that
day.
who took that weird picture? What
Uh-huh.
lens
What?
did they have on there?
Yeah. That was clearly a
Uh,
filter.
yeah, and I d I don't know if I just, like, ruined the surprise, but that's just kind of especially in my adult life, I that's kind of just how I am, and I think it has really worked in to my advantage, but I mean, I'm not saying, like, there aren't times where I don't feel upset or I don't feel shitty or I don't feel like, like, whatever, but I know that there are people who have this like negative self talk, if you will, like that tells them that they're bad or tells them they can't do stuff or prevents them from doing things. And I get that I mean, that I can't imagine what that's like. Like
Yep. Walking
I,
around with a downer on your shoulder all day of like, you can't do that. You'll never be good enough. I think a really common one is also like we tell ourselves a story that someone else is thinking about us. That might be more
oh,
common too, is like,
yeah,
oh, well, my friend is like not answering the phone. She's mad at me because I couldn't go to her birthday party. And so now she's pissed and we're like, ugh. And you
we're not
create this
friends anymore.
whole story in your mind about what this other person's perspective is about you. And that's all a fucking lie. You have no idea what that person is thinking.
Yeah.
You
I
can't
mean, like,
know that.
I hear that with people like my friend Shelby does that a lot where she'll like come up with some scenario about, oh well, like she's moving into a new building for her business and they're expanding whatever, and she was talking about like, well, and what if now the agent's mad at me and she can't answer the phone and she doesn't like me and blah 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 and this and that, and I'm like, what the fuck, where did that come
Mhm.
from? Like, how do you know? That's what I always think is so interesting in these scenarios is like, where
Well,
did you how
that's the
did you
lie.
derive this idea? It's so interesting to me. Okay, so tell me more. Not because I'm like, so again, this is not because I'm just so great. I think I've done a lot of work on myself, like mentally and spiritually and emotionally, where this isn't a thing for me. But I do not negate that it is a thing for other people. So
Let's talk
tell me more
about,
about it.
I had in-depth conversations over the weekend with a girlfriend about this is, and there's so much work around this right now. You could Google this and find this everywhere. But okay, if I'm going to set a boundary with someone, like, okay, dad, you can't come to my house unless you're in a good mental state.
Yeah.
So those are my terms. And then my dad doesn't like it. Well,
Yeah.
that's none of my business, for one. Like, this all kind of relates. Or like, maybe I don't set that boundary because I think my dad's going to be mad at me, or it's going to be this
Right.
uncomfortable situation because if I do that, then XYZ. But at what cost? Kind of like, I'm now not going to set the boundary because I've made up this story about what might happen. But either way, it's going to be an uncomfortable situation. So why not just pick the one that's in your favor?
Yeah.
And what's happening over there is none of my business, like how they're
Right.
going to react to it. There's also the thing about, if somebody's going to get upset about a boundary you set with them, it's further proof that that boundary needed to be there.
Okay.
Okay, well, that person doesn't respect me and want the best for me, because their only concern right now is that I've set a boundary that they don't like. They want more access to my life or more access to me.
Yeah.
I feel like that kind of goes off on the tangent, but a lot of that, like, not setting a boundary with someone is a lot because of a story you tell yourself about what the reaction is going to be, where what's actually important is, who cares? Like, the boundary's for you. It's not for them.
Yeah. I guess I should backtrack. Like, I mean, there are definitely times where I'm like, oh, is this person going to feel this way, or is this person going to react this way? But I don't know. I mean, like, I can see how for some people it really spirals them in that situation, right? Like, it's really debilitating for them because it's like, oh my God, what's going to happen if I do this? Then it's going to cause this, and then it's going to cause that, and then it's going to cause that. Maybe I'm just like
Making
really
up stories.
maybe I'm just really self-centered because I don't care.
Oh, no, you've just done the work.
I'm just like, okay. Like,
Or maybe you didn't have to do the work, and that's great. Lucky you. We need to write the books about it, because
no.
I don't do a ton of this. There definitely is times where, even put yourself in a scenario where you're working with clients, you just got bad news you're going to have to deliver to the clients. And
Yeah.
I'm sure in your brain, you're like, oh, they're going to have this reaction, or they're going to have that reaction.
Yeah, you can anticipate, they're going to freak out about this. I'm nervous because they're going to freak out about this. Yeah, for sure.
But those are all just stories. You don't know
You're right.
how they're going to react.
Yeah.
You don't know any of those things. It's even like when somebody flies off the handle at me, because I work in a lot of high pressure emotional situations, both with like other agents, with clients, all of these things. If someone flies off the handle with me, I really have worked hard to retrain my brain to remind myself that's probably not about me. And I have no idea what else is going on in that person's life. And like, give it 5 hours and I probably will have an apology from that person. And I really, really, really work hard to give people the benefit of the doubt in those scenarios.
Yeah, I would agree. I think interesting. I've been talking about this a lot in the last couple of days, is that when I really decided for myself that and this is a little bit different, but kind of very similar, like that I was going to stop being tough. Things changed in the way that I reacted to things, right?
Say
like,
more. What do you mean about, you decided not to be tough anymore?
I grew up in an environment where toughness was valued immensely. Tough and strength meant you would win, which meant that you were successful. Meaning that you had to be like, anytime you worked with somebody or like you had to almost like beat them down verbally, like to get where you needed to go so that you would win, right? Like you had to be really tough and really hard. And I can't, and we've talked about this before, like I can be, but I never felt like it got me as far as I wanted it to go. And then I always felt like shit about it afterwards, right? Going in and yelling at somebody, or like having to prove that I was right so intensely and with so much effort and energy and force. And then that person doesn't feel good when they walk away from that, even if you are right, that they don't think you are, So there was a moment probably a couple years ago when I really decided that I was going to stop being tough. And I think there was an interesting transition for me because there was a little bit of time in between then and now where I felt like maybe people didn't take me seriously. Like they thought I was fluffy or light or not serious or something like that. And I kind of had to work through that. But I think when I stopped doing that, I also stopped anticipating the fights or the arguments or the things that were going to come up, right? Like it's that thought of like, okay, I'm going to have to deliver this bad news and then they're going to fight me about this. And then I'm going to have to defend my commission. And then I'm going to have to do this. And then I'm going to have to do this. And I was always ready for a fight. And this is
Mhm.
interesting. Like I was reading a lot about cortisol levels. This is all ties in to just like general mental and physical health. But when I really started paying attention to reducing or being intentional about reducing my stress because of my cortisol levels and because of my like body's reaction to those things, how I reacted to people or decided to react to people changed. And I have only one quote unquote more now that I've stopped doing this, right? I'm nicer to work with. I'm a better person to work with. I'm more solution oriented. I'm totally fucking delusional. I am positive Polly. And not toxic positivity, but here's an example. Yesterday, I'm working on this big listing and we're doing a lot of stuff to get it ready, including like $50,000 worth of light fixture changes and paint and cabinet pulls being all this stuff, right? And yesterday, one of the people that I was working with in this situation was like being really negative. And it really pissed me off. And they were kind of trying to blame me for them not delivering on the things on time. And I was like, okay, like, I don't know. You agreed to sign up to do this. You took on the job. You knew the timeline from the beginning, right? And I was talking to my partner and she and I were in the house and we were like going around and blue taping like the areas that need to be painted, right? And there was these lights on the ceiling that we needed to blue tape because they had been replaced and so we had to paint around them. And we're just two like 40 mid 40s women. We couldn't reach these lights. We didn't have a ladder. And so I was like just get on my back. Just get on my back. And so I literally like got on, I like tried to give her a piggyback. It didn't work. And she's like, just get on your hands and knees. So she like, I got on my hands and knees. She stood on my back and she like blue taped the lights and like, we were just having fun. Right. And last night when I was chatting with her afterwards, I was like, when I'm pissed off, I'm going to remember how we were like trying to leap and reach and touch those lights, like with blue tape in our 40s and really just decided like everything is going to be okay. This is the messy middle. We talked about that, right? This is the messy middle. And it's going to be okay. And we're going to get through it and it's going to be fine. I could go in and rip this guy's fucking face off, but that's not going to get us to the finish line sooner, right? He is having all these things and trying to place blame. And it's like, there was a time in my life where I would have gone in and ripped this guy's fucking face
Like
off.
got pulled in and engaged in a way that would have gotten you spiraling.
Yeah. And then we probably still would have gotten to the finish line, but everyone would have been fucking pissed at each other by the end.
Right.
Right. And nobody would have liked the product that we're going to produce, which is going to be beautiful. And nobody would want to work with me again on another situation and X, Y, and Z. And so I just really made an intentional choice to stop doing that. And when I stopped doing that, all of those other trying to guess how people were going to react kind of went away, in those scenarios, because listen, it doesn't mean that if somebody's doing something wrong or bad, I'm not going to say anything to them. It's not that, right? But it's just, how am I approaching this situation? What's the seriousness of this situation? What is like thinking really analytically about what is going to like, and not in a spirally way, but if I go and yell at this guy, is that going to help me get to the finish line sooner? Probably not.
Right.
Like if anything, it's going to fuck it up.
And I think functioning with facts is a really good way to do that. So like you can't know why it happened. You don't know if it was on purpose, if it was neglect. You don't know any of those things. So don't work with that. What you know, like in this paint situation or in these, like the fact is, hey, wow, this stuff's going great, but X, Y, and Z needs to be addressed, and we have a
Right.
timeline to hit. So how are you going to resolve that? That is going to be so much better received than like, what the fuck, bro? Where's my
Yeah.
knobs? Why isn't this
Yeah.
painted correctly? Like, just your approach at it is going to be received
It's such a
entirely
different
differently, and not only
yeah.
received by them differently, but exactly how you explained it is like so much more peace internally.
Yeah.
It's not
It
taken
really
personally. He didn't do this to ruin your fucking week.
no. And they all know we have the same deadline, right? And like
Right.
me, him trying to escalate a situation or try to be like, well, this is that, blah, 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 blah. And me not escalating with him
Right.
de-escalates the situation.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Right. Like it was
Mm-hmm.
like, I texted like the window cleaner didn't clean a certain area. And I was like, hey, the window cleaner looks like they missed this area. Are they coming back? Are they going to finish this?
Mm-hmm.
And I got this kind of snarky response, like, that's the least thing we need to worry about. We need to blah, 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 but I'll call them and find out. And I think when you can stay like calm and when you can stay really even, you can pick out what he said through
The
all of that
actionable. Yeah. Like,
bullshit. Okay, great.
right.
You're going to call them? Great. Thanks.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
Right.
Don't engage with the rest.
Don't engage with the rest. And I think we do get caught up. And listen, this is still a work in progress for me. I am not like the Dalai Lama. Okay. Like, but
Well, catch up. Science.
okay. but I think it has been one of the keys to my more recent success is I don't want to say just let it happen like you're just floating along, but like when you are really trying to push and force and there's all this extra like stress effort going into a situation, it doesn't make it go any faster and it doesn't make you feel any better. So,
well, think about wasting energy making
yeah.
up stories or planning how you're going to respond or being angry. It takes a lot of energy.
Yes.
When you are not utilizing that energy over there, how much more energy do you have left over here for progress and growth and like the next thing that you want to do? Like it's a better use of your energy. It's like unplugging all these vampire things and letting the house power the one thing you're actually using instead of giving a little bit of power everywhere.
And it's exhausting
Mhm.
to just be angry and upset all the time and to hold resentment or to hold anger or to hold any of that stuff and let that self-talk or that spiral or whatever you want to call it, the lies that you're telling yourself, to let that just sit there and fester is exhausting.
Mhm.
Oh my God. Like, how do you get anything done?
Right.
No
and
idea.
A lot of people like that probably don't. They probably hit this plateau of as far as they can get. And then they don't get to make the giant leap forward. But when you can use your brain the other way, like we hear all of this with the manifestations and the visualizing, is your brain doesn't know the difference between truth and reality and a lie. So tell it the truth you want to hear and
Hell
let
yeah.
it ride on that. Be delusional. It's going to be more effective for what you're trying to hit.
And it's way more fun, by the way. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Fun.
It's way more fun. And I think you get to be a little bit more fun and a little bit more creative and a little bit more aspirational when you start to think this way. When you decide that it can be okay, that it's going to be okay, or that it's going to be fun, or that you're going to do big things and you are capable of those things. It's pretty incredible what you can achieve when that is the mind and that's the mindset. But I get it. I get that it's hard. It's not like you one day wake up and you're like, okay, great. I'm fine now and everything's gonna be great and it's all great. Great. Like,
right.
But it is an intentional choice.
Right. It is a choice. So one of the sayings that I am using regularly in my life and I'm telling everybody around me is remember that the universe is working for you, because it's very easy you know, the saying, when it rains, it pours.
Yeah.
Things happen in threes. Like we have all these like cliches around like when the world is falling apart around you. And sometimes this year with everything going on with Emmy and my sister's going through things, like there's so much stress and things happening to me. And when I can stop and pivot my thought to the universe is working for me, all of this is happening for a reason.
Yeah.
Trust the universe, like good things happen to me. Like instead of going to, oh my God, what next? What could possibly happen next? Like, first of all, I don't want to invite that shit into my life. I do believe that our thoughts have power. So if our thoughts have power and we're all just telling stories in our brains anyways about what's happening, tell the happy story, tell the positive story, tell the uplifting story, tell your success story instead of your story about how the whole world is working against you. And it's so normal. Like, I'm not perfect. I have those days where I'm like, oh, I mean, I think it, what else? But I very quickly, because I'm so scared of that, what else could happen? I'm like, no, get out of my brain. I don't want you here. Go away.
Well, and I think that's to the point is it is a practice, right?
Yeah.
Like it is something that it's an intentional of making that choice to not go down that path when it can feel easy to just go, well, what the fuck next? Great. Oh, I'll go, my house just gonna blow up, like blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? All of those things. But you could also very easily be like, okay, great. What's next? I am going to get some great news tomorrow.
Right.
Or I'm going to, this is where, and I have said this many times, like I really thought gratitude was super hokey, but this is a moment where like, you can be like, okay, cool. Here's what's good that's happening. That's like an easy way to kind of turn your situation. Okay, like all this shit is happening. All this bad shit is happening. What's the good? Okay. Well, the good thing is, I had like, okay, for me, it's like, okay, I'm really stressed out. There's a lot going on right now. I'm sick. It's fucked up, blah, blah, blah. Okay. What's good? Well, guess what? Yesterday I like back squatted 165 pounds, which was really cool. Or yesterday I went and got myself a fun coffee because I felt like I wanted it. And that was fun, like a fun little thing I did for myself. I am really grateful for, having my new partner who's helping me with so much. I wouldn't be able to do all this stuff if it wasn't for her, right? Like looking for all of those good things that are happening because the shit and the good happen at the same time. They just do.
I want to tell a story that I wanted to tell anyways, and now I'm going to relate it all to this. So my little sister's husband was in a car accident 11 days ago, and he had his dog with him, and they were on like windy road and took a corner too fast, and the truck rolled, and the dog got spooked and ran away. And they were probably 40 miles from my sister's house. They were between my parents' house and my sister's house. And the dog got spooked and ran away. My brother-in-law had to go to the hospital. So it was like my sister was literally in the shower and had shaved one leg, hadn't quite gotten to the other, got the call, jumped out of the shower, went straight to get everything out of my brother-in-law's truck and go to the hospital, all the things. So like, I mean, it feels like as bad as it could get, right? Like that all these things just happen. Now, my sister did something really impressive, and she's like, listen, there's the three worst things I could imagine happening is 1, my husband died. 2, my dog died. 3, my dog ran away. So I got the third worst, but it's not the worst. So she did a little shift right there. Like it could be worse. It could be worse. It could be worse. It could be worse. So then now 11 days went by. This was 11 days ago. So it's been a week and a half of her like, okay, where's my dog? Like, is my dog going to come home? What's going to happen? And so she didn't just sit by and wait. She flipped the script and was like, okay, what can I do in this scenario? She could have stayed home and cried and been sad and thought this was the worst thing ever, but she didn't. And then she took some action. So she got like a volunteer dog trapper that does this and started working with them and worked really hard, put up signs all over on all these different trails, and also stayed positive knowing that like basically the Homeward Bound story is true. Like that happens. Like dogs
Yeah.
very often are able to like overcome miles and miles and miles and find their way home. So she kept that positivity in her mind this whole time and took action steps this whole time, instead of like when Jack went missing, I looked like the first day and then I just cried, but I pretty much knew he'd been eaten. I knew he'd been eaten. But anyways, so she stayed positive. She worked with someone, put signs up, and like every couple days the dog would have been spotted. And they'd get word that the dog was spotted. Like, and every day that the dog got spotted, it was getting spotted closer to Tahoe, closer to home, closer to
Whoa.
home, closer to home. Last night, the dog got spotted at my niece's school.
Oh my
Made it all
God.
the way to my niece's school, and my sister went and she got him back.
Oh my God.
So, like, we have our own personal homeward bound story in my
You
family now.
do.
My brother-in-law is fine. The dog is home. He's going to the vet in about an hour to get like a full workup and make sure he's fine. He's home. She also was really concerned like his demeanor would be different when she got him back, but mostly he's just like needy and wants to be like on them. So, but how easy would it be in that scenario for us to go to the worst case?
Oh yeah, he's dead.
He's dead. He's gone. I'm never getting him back.
He got hit by a car. He's
He
done.
got hit
Like,
by,
don't even worry about it. Like,
all of it.
yeah.
And she stayed positive and confident the entire time that like he knows, he's smart. He like dogs can do this, and took action and got to the success. How incredible of a story is that?
That's so incredible. That's like Disney movie incredible. Homeward Bound.
I know,
2,
truly.
incredible.
Homeward Bound. I think they're on like Homeward Bound 4.
Oh, Homeward Bound 47.
47. I'm so, congratulations, Zephyr. I'm so proud of you. And Erin, I'm proud of you for staying positive. I mean, and it's not that she wasn't crying and devastated and like having to support her kids through like something so fucking horrendous.
How's
and
her
like
husband?
trying not to be mad at her husband for letting it happen, because also
is he okay though?
Yeah. I got
Her
a picture of
husband?
him last night. Actually, I need to show Emmy. Emmy was really nervous when she heard he had to go to the hospital, that he was going to be like all busted up. So I had her send me a picture, and he's got like just one little scar on his head. I mean, he was bloody the day of, and did have to go to the hospital. He had a concussion. He had whiplash, all of those things. And then also he had my sister's wrath for like, why the fuck didn't you slow down around that corner? It's not like the first time you've ever taken this road. He drives this road 3 times a week, for fuck's sake. So, but I'm so proud of her for staying positive and not letting herself fall into that hole. And I'm sure it wasn't easy. That's like a choice she had to make every day to tell herself like, this could, like it's just that exact example. Is like, you could tell yourself this negative story, or you can tell yourself a positive story.
Yeah.
Which one is going to work better for you? Which one's going to be more enjoyable to live through?
Right.
Positive one, obviously.
Positive one.
Yeah. So there's some practices that I looked up to help people learn how to do this, because this girl loves it. Okay, so journal prompt. Here's a journal prompt for you.
Oh.
What is one lie I've been telling myself that I'm ready to rewrite?
Ooh, I love that.
Mm-hmm. So
I love that, because you could also take that and be like, because a lot of people have been told a lot of shit about them too.
Well, and that becomes their own self-narrative at some point.
Right. What's a lie someone's told you that you've made your own, or something like that too? Like, that's pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Really good. Okay. So what's one lie I've been telling myself, or that someone else has been telling me that I believe and that I'm going to rewrite? Yeah. I'm going to rewrite this lie. Okay. Next is a reframing exercise, which I love a reframe. I've spent thousands of dollars in my 20s in therapy learning how to do this. So you guys just take this free tip. Catch a negative thought and flip it to a more helpful one. So if you find yourself in any moment with a negative thought, like, this one won't work, but I was just thinking like, because of what you texted me earlier. So I have time to go to the store today instead of I don't have time to go to the store today. But that's the one you texted me about, is you're like, I tell myself lies all the time. I tell myself I have time to do everything I want to do.
Oh my God. And the biggest lie I tell myself, the biggest lie I tell myself is that I can do anything all the time, always.
Yeah.
Which is good, but also can lead to burnout.
Not always realistic. Yeah. So I don't always have time to go to the store, but maybe I could never post that social media video because I look stupid.
I look stupid, I sound stupid, or
I look
whatever.
stupid, I sound stupid, I'll do it when I lose weight, whatever the
Yeah.
thing is that like you're spinning, like catch that negative thought and flip it to something more helpful. So, okay, acknowledge like I might feel stupid posting that video, but I can do it.
Yeah, for
I can do
sure.
that. I can
Oh,
do
you know
that.
what?
And probably somebody's going to like it.
I think also the way that
I'll
we
like
and
it. I'll like your post, you guys.
I'll like it always. You want a immediate let me be your friend. I like your shit every single time. The other thing, I was talking about this with somebody, with my trainer, and then with somebody else the other day, how we talk about ourselves and the language that we use is really important too. And they talk about this in The Secret too, about the verbiage that you use is important. So like my whole life, it was like, you got to lose weight, 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 blah, blah, blah. And I've lost weight and I've gained weight and I've lost weight and I've gained weight. Well, I've probably been the healthiest in the last probably year and a half that I've ever been. And instead of focusing on losing weight, I decided to focus on gaining strength. And that shift in thought process was huge for me, right? Because I wasn't trying, one, in The Secret and in different areas of life and philosophies, if you are constantly losing something, that's a negative thing, right? But if
Right.
I'm gaining strength, it's something positive. But also, it was a shift of I have to lose weight in order to be thin enough or small enough or this or that or whatever. But when I shift my focus, and then I didn't like it because those results weren't attainable. Nothing was attainable enough, right? But when I started thinking about gaining strength, those were really easy, measurable, and it wasn't upsetting to me to get to those goals, right? It was
Right.
like, oh, this week I am going to do 12 reps of this bicep curl. And last week I did 8. Like that's a gain, that's a win. It's like it's wins every single time.
And it's an act of something you can do. Like I
Yeah,
can't control if I have inflammation or I get bloated or I
right,
get like there's a lot of things I can't control around that number on the scale.
right,
What I can control is showing up and doing 12 reps
right,
3 times
right.
twice a week. Those are like it's like celebrating or setting the goal around the activity rather than the result. It's
Yeah,
like
and
I'm going to get stronger by hitting the gym this many times. And yes, this is the number I have in mind, but like I know I get there by doing X, Y, and Z.
well, and it was always a loss, right? Because at least for me, and I think a lot of people can relate, is like you would be like, well, if I just weighed 135 pounds, I'd be happy. And then you get to that point, and then you're like, what the fuck? Like, this is what I thought I would look like at 135 pounds.
Right.
I'm not happy with this. But when I was really started focusing on, like, I had very specific goals when I talked to my trainer. I wanted to be able to do a push up, a real push up, and I want to be able to do a pull up. And then those were kind of like my first goals. And then as we started to get into things, I would say I want to be able to do that what is that? I want to be able to do that. Like I would see somebody else in the gym like deadlifting and I'm like, what's that? How do I get to that? I want to do that. And then it was like, okay, well, I want to squat. I want to back squat. I want to learn how to back squat. That's cool. And it became like exciting to then work towards these goals, right? And now I
What's a
can
back
do it.
squat?
It's just like a regular squat,
Like
but
with that you might use this. You're not with the Smith machine. You're like just
you're not in the
freestanding
Smith
squat
machine. You're with the bar and weights,
on your shoulders.
and it's like you're free squatting, basically,
Got
but
it.
it's on your back, right?
Got it.
Versus there's ones that you can hold different ways.
Like a plate in front of you or okay. Got it. Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah. Most people would just know it as a squat, but you're doing it like with the bar.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so those were easier. And then the more I did those, I actually was losing weight. And then the more I did those, the more I wanted to work on increasing my protein because that's helpful for when I work out and for my strength gains. It's also helpful for me as a woman who is in her 40s, right? And so I started trying to do things that were more for a positive reason instead of a negative reason, instead of a reason why I wasn't good enough, I wasn't thin enough, or I wasn't whatever. And then doing things that made me happy, and doing things that made me feel strong, and doing things that made me feel good about myself, and like giving myself those wins
Mm-hmm.
instead of always not instead of always losing, like always feeling like I wasn't getting to where I wanted to go. Like one day I'd be great, the scale would be X, the next day I'd be 5 pounds heavier. Like, you know, I, I went to LA for a week, for 9 days. I came back and I weighed 7 pounds more. What the hell is that? Right. A lot of that was inflammation because I swell when I fly. It was also different foods that I was eating. It was like all those kinds of things. And then it went away. Right. But in a previous time in my life, I would have been really upset about that, you
Right.
know? So I just think how we're talking to each other or ourselves, how we talk to each other, how we the language that we use is so important. And it
Mm-hmm.
sounds insignificant and it sounds hokey or whatever. But first of all, who cares? Like if it works, it works. Who
Right.
cares? You sound dorky. You're like, I'm thankful for this. I'm grateful for this. And you feel like a dork. Who cares? Because there's no cool police out here.
Right.
So I don't know.
Except for your like 7-year-old daughter. She'll be the cool police for you.
Well, yeah, they don't know what they're talking about.
My favorite thing to tell my daughter is, oh, God, I remember when I used to know everything. Life was so much easier then.
Oh my God.
Okay,
Ew.
so other daily practice would be positive visualizations, like
Yep.
watching yourself achieve the things you want to achieve, and
Yep.
then identity-based affirmations. So give me your identity-based affirmation. You know it, girl. You know it off the top of your head.
Oh, mine?
Yeah,
I'm healthy. I'm wealthy. I'm rich. I'm that bitch. That's mine.
exactly. Yeah. So when I saw this identity-based, I'm realizing like my affirmation that I do is not really identity based because mine is always like health, wealth, love, and money flow freely and easily to me. That's not really identity based, but I mean, I just know that I'm confident, I'm inspirational, I am like all these things I want to be. I just kind of know that. I think I don't say them, but I just have. They
You just
are.
know
I'm
them.
self
They are. They
actualized.
exist. Yeah.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
me. Okay, I'm going to invite you to take one mental loop that's been stuck in your mind and rewrite it as if it's a story and the main character is overcoming that thing. So
Okay.
like instead of the journal prompt, now this is like, okay, so this mental loop is like, gosh, okay, and a limiting belief. So let's say like, I'll never be able to get past this $15 million of, volume that I do each year, or
Yeah.
I'll never be the weight that I want to be, or I'll
I
never
had somebody, yes.
find
Yeah. I
the
had somebody the other
boyfriend
day that
or
said, I'm a loser. I'm 45 and I've never bought a house. I was
okay.
like, stop saying that.
Right.
Who
Yes.
said
Okay.
that?
A perfect example. So that person needs to sit down and rewrite this story where they're the main character and they're overcoming that obstacle.
I also think like we really, as women, really should bring the main character energy into everything that we do.
Absolutely.
I mean, men do. So why aren't we doing that?
Yeah.
Like, why are
Yeah.
we okay being a supporting role or a supporting character in our own lives? And it sounds funny to be like main character energy, but it's so true. It's so
Absolutely.
true. Like, you should be the main character in your own life. And here's what I want to say: you should be the main character in your own life. And that does not mean that you don't love your husband. It doesn't mean you don't love your children. It doesn't mean that you are selfish or self centered or any of those things. But when you are the main character in your own life, you are valuing yourself. You are making yourself a better person, a better mom, a better wife, a better partner, a better, better at your job, whatever. And it's so important. Those things are so, so important. So please be the main character. Just please be
Yeah.
the main character in your own life and do not shrink or be small or think you're less than or any of those things, because holy shit, you will start to be that. You will
Yep.
embody those things.
I was just having a conversation with a girlfriend over the weekend whose mother has been very difficult for her. Well, her mother's walking around with main character energy, and this girl is just bowing to her mom and letting her have the main character energy, and she's feeling like shit about herself. But if she stood up to that main character energy with main character energy, then there you go.
Yeah.
And like, also, I think acknowledging that like the world is revolving around every one of us.
Yes.
And so it's that thing about like when you think that someone else is thinking about you, they're not. They're thinking about them.
They're thinking about that.
They're thinking
I
about
love your arms analogy, right? Oh, you think you're so great that everybody's looking at your arms in your dress when you're out there this summer,
right.
you know?
Yeah, you're like so worried to wear that short sleeve because everybody's staring at you the second you walk in the room and like thinking about what your arms look like. How important do you think you are?
Also, anybody who is doing that is not somebody that you need to give a shit about.
Right.
I don't.
Those aren't your people. Those are not your people.
Yeah.
Those people, and the reason they're doing that is because they're so unhappy in their own life.
Oh my God. Yes.
They're worried about their arms.
I was really thinking about that the other day. Like I wore this dress to this gala that we went to, and it was like a sleeveless dress. And I was just like, you know, then there was that part of me initially that has been conditioned to be like, oh, I should wear something long sleeve, or I should wear a jacket, or I should wear something. And I was like, what the fuck? Nah, that would be weird.
And that's the story that you'd been telling yourself.
Yeah.
And now you've rewritten the story and you get to be the person that wears the short sleeve dress because who gives a shit?
And guess what? Like it looked great. And nobody was like, wow, that bitch's arms are big. You know what I mean? Like,
right. No, nobody's thinking about what you look like in your dress on that day. Everybody's thinking about how they look in their own dress. And I think when you can reframe all of those things, it's really powerful and like such a more peaceful life that you'll live.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, so this is our soft girl main character positive reframing era.
Yeah. We're in that era.
Love that for us.
Well, thanks for hanging out.
Yeah, thanks for hanging out.
We'll talk to you guys next week. Yeah, I like you guys so much. And the world likes you. And if they don't, then they're stupid. And you just really need to like yourself. Feel good about that.
100%.
So, and don't worry, you guys. Your dog is coming home.
Oh, Homeward Bound 47.
Oh, yes. Cute. Welcome home, Zephyr baby. Aww. All right, guys. Well, love you.
Love you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
That's a wrap. Thank you for joining us on this journey of laughter, life, and growth.
And remember, you're not alone on this path to success. We're right here with you every step of the way.
Please remember to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. And if you found value in today's conversation, we'd be thrilled if you would leave us a review on your favorite platform. Your feedback means the world to us.
And don't forget to share this podcast with your friends, family, and anyone who could use a good laugh and some practical insight into navigating the challenges and triumphs of our minds, body, soul, and business.
Remember, we're doing this right.